What's going on, everyone? I'm Jordan, and this is the first episode of Below the Tension. It's going to be a weekly podcast at first. Try to keep it about 30 minutes, and I'm going to go over all the news stories throughout the week that I curate, that I handpick, that I feel like need to be covered more, and also that weren't covered so much in the mainstream media. Not all of them, but that is my main focus. I will get into some top headline news, but for the most part, I'm trying to pick stories that really need to be talked about more and that really weren't seen. A little bit of background on me. I am a Air Force vet, and I also worked as a defense contractor. After that, I'm currently a student at the University of Colorado Boulder at this point. I have had a top secret clearance with the SCI caveat since 2008. So I have a good perspective on military and intelligence and foreign policy. And I was also a Hurricane Katrina survivor, so I can give some real world views on natural disasters or government response or anything like that. So here we go, the first episode of Below the Tension. Our first story today is U.S. Treasury anti-laundering head to join a HSBC bank. You heard that right. And if for the people that don't remember, HSBC was one of the banks, but the main one that was caught laundering drug money. The U.S. Treasury anti-laundering head to take a top position at that most laundered bank ever. Isn't that great? U.S. Treasury Department's top anti-money laundering official is resigning to take what his sources say was a top post at HSBC, which is struggling to meet the terms of an earlier settlement with the U.S. government. So they can't pay for money laundering money, but the person that was in charge of anti-money laundering is going to work for them. How is that? I don't even know. Jennifer Cavalry announced she was resigning as a director of Treasury Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, which she headed since 2012. She's a former federal prosecutor who also led the Justice Department's anti-money laundering unit. What is this? What is a lawyer? I guess she's a lawyer, so I guess I don't even know what she's going to be doing over there. As part of the pact, the settlement, $1.9 billion in global settlements with the U.S. government, HSBC admitted drug cartels pumped at least $800 million through their bank. The U.S. Treasury Department's top anti-money laundering official quit to join the bank that did the money laundering. Open criminality in this federal government. So, to give you guys a brief recap on all this, I searched HSBC money laundering and it gave me a list of stories. I'll just read some of these headlines. HSBC money laundering allegations again. HSBC admits subsidiary helped hide rich people's money. U.S. should be ashamed. It treats pot smokers worse than Wall Street criminals. Banks launder billions in illegal drug cartel money while snubbing legal marijuana businesses. Yeah, no bank federally insured, well, it's against federal law. No banks can do business with dispensaries or anything like that. They have to do everything in cash still. Yeah. Big banks get small fine for terrorist transactions. Is anyone listening? HSBC continues to launder money for terrorist groups. So they got him for the drug cartel, but this lady is still going to be over a bank that still does terrorist transactions, though. So let's go. Too big to jail. I'm sorry. Now can we just go back out and play? Insane. I don't even know what to say about that. She's a lawyer, so I guess maybe taking on their legal team. I don't know. But that seems highly suspect to me. I don't know how that was even allowed, so there's that. And speaking of women and criminals, Hillary has an NSA problem. This is a story from last year, but I think everyone should read this story. This story will give you the real perspective on what Emailgate means. because before I read the story, even with my background, I didn't really understand what she was doing. Basically, what she was doing when she became Secretary of State is that she knew the rules securing classified information, and she either ignored them or took steps to circumvent them. And if I had done even a little bit of what she did, I would be in Fort Leavenworth prison today. No question. Or at the very least, removed from the military, kicked out, discharged. Probably dishonorably, which ruins your entire life, by the way. Examination of Emailgate. FBI recommends prosecution of her or members of her inner circle for mishandling classified information, which is something the politically unconnected routinely face prosecution for. Yes, like I just said, I would be in Leavenworth today if I did anything like she did. A leak fest of this kind won't ever be seen in Washington, D.C. For years, she has been on the bad side of the National Security Agency. Secretary Clinton's main office at Foggy Bottom was actually a SCIF. And this guy, this is how I know this guy really knows what he's talking about. It's a secured compartmentalized information facility, SCIF, but we pronounce it SCIF as a quick way of saying it. SCIF by insiders. A SCIF is required for handling any top secret or plus information. Yes, you cannot take that information in or out of a SCIF, and if you're accessing classified information on an electronic platform, that has to be inside the SCIF as well. But personal electronic devices such as your cell phone or BlackBerry can never be brought into a SCIF. Yes, you cannot bring anything that transmits at all. As a result, your phone or your BlackBerry always needs to be locked up before entering the SCIF. Not even 1 month into the new administration, Miss Clinton and her inner circle began chafing these rules. There was no problem with Mrs. Clinton checking her email inside the SCIF. Hers, like most, had an open source, unclassified computer terminal connected to the internet. Spot on. Mrs. Clinton only checked her personal email on her BlackBerry, which was not supposed to be in there in the first place. She did not want to sit down at the computer terminal like all the plebs. She was so beyond that. And also in this article, it goes on to the fact that she threw a temper tantrum that she couldn't have a BlackBerry like Barack. I can confirm that the contents of Sid Blumenthal's 2011 email to Hillary sent to a personal unclassified account were indeed based on highly classified, sensitive NSA information. This information was illegally lifted from 4 different NSA reports, all of them classified top secret, special intelligence. At least one of these reports was issued under Gamma compartment. See, top secret SCI. So you have caveats that are above tops. There is no above top secret. You have top secret and you have caveats. So when you're talking about compartment, Gamma compartment, that's what secret compartmentalized information means. You were briefed in to a certain program or a certain compartment, and each one of those has nomenclature. So this was a Gamma compartment, which the NSA is a handling caveat that is applied to extraordinary sensitive information. For instance, decrypt conversations between foreign leadership, which this was, the report that he sent over the internet. Currently serving NSA officials have told me that without a doubt, Mr. Blumenthal's information came from their reports. It was word for word verbatim, one of them explained to me. In one case, the entire paragraph was lifted from the report that was classified top secret special intelligence. So this whole, blah, 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 I didn't know, bull. And if she didn't know, her people knew. And also in this article, it goes on to talk about how that some of the reports that were put together, taken paragraphs to put together and sent to her email, were about signals intelligence on a foreign government officials. So that is some of the most classified, because not only is the information that was gathered classified. The way it was gathered, that's what makes it even more classified. Because once the information is gathered, you have it, you know it. But if somebody knows how you got it, you need to protect that even more. So just those two things I had to highlight first. Just incredible open criminality, and people don't understand. And people really don't understand what's going on. So moving into politics, Clinton backers feel the burn of angry Sanders supporters. As Sanders, I wrote on my Twitter, @SlavLibertarian. You can follow me right now. I wrote last week that you'll start to see the culling of the herd. You'll start to see the cucking. You know, you're going to start seeing Sanders pulling back, which there's been reports last week that he's cutting back staff. You know, he's got this defiant tone or what have you, but when push comes to shove, at the end of the day, you know, it may take a few weeks. It may be shorter, but just you're going to start to see it slowly wind down. He's going to eventually tell everyone to vote for Clinton. So so much for a revolution. Clinton backers feel the burn of angry Sanders supporters. So some of these Hillary Clinton supporters were getting messages, some of them from the phone and some of them from email messages, calling me names. Some of them called Hillary names. Others said I was a stupid bitch and something bad will happen to me, said Shoemaker, a Democratic nominee, Democratic commitment member. It's kind of hard to take that sometimes. So yeah. And as you saw, the Donald Trump protests, they're flipping cars and jumping on police cars and doing donuts in the parking lot and shutting down his events. This is only going to get worse as Sanders is not going to be the nominee and Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. You're going to start seeing how angry the left it really is, and really, the left wallows in ignorance. I don't like conservatives either, but I describe it as a conservative is like an axe murderer. He's chasing you around. He's trying to kill you. You know what's going on. But with a leftist, the leftist is the nurse, the killer nurse. She's taking care of you, trying to make you get better, and then all the while slowly dripping poison into your IV while petting your head. Oh, get better. Oh, I'm so sorry. Huh? Yeah, I'd rather know my enemy. Oh, and this one is a fantastic bit of irony too. Was with that Bernie Sanders story. Brady campaign's ad draws ire of other U.S. anti-violence activists. The Brady campaign to prevent gun violence on Friday says it sharply cut back an online ad and that it used the names and faces of mass shooters and urged the news media not to identify them after the group drew criticism from other gun control activists. The prominent use of names like Adam Lanza and James Holmes were in the 2-minute clip. The ad marked the launch here, and here's what's interesting about this, that they're getting flack from their own cronies. The ad that featured the names and faces of mass murderers marked the launch of a piece of software, Google Chrome browser, you can install, that promises to remove the names and images of serial killers from news accounts and Google web searches, replacing them with name withheld to respect the victims. So you can install a Google Chrome program, add-on, I guess, that will remove anything that might hurt your feelings and replace them with name withheld to respect the victims. Isn't that just sweet? They're just taking care of us, thinking for us. Great. Good job, Google. All right, into more foreign policy news. Airstrikes on Aleppo killed doctors and children. An airstrike destroyed a hospital and killed dozens of people in the rebel-held areas in Syria's Aleppo, including women and doctors and children. Syrian military sources say the government planes were not in the area at the time of the raids. Syria's army has denied reports that Syrian Air Force targeted the hospital. The Russian Defense Ministry whose airstrikes have swung into the favor of Bashar al-Assad, also denied that the planes were responsible. I have not looked into this today or this weekend to see if somebody has been blamed, but I mean, they're putting it right there that's who's going to be blamed for this this hospital bombing. But don't worry, just last year, and this was very, very coincidental. Just last year, as some of you may know, we bombed a hospital in Afghanistan with that same organization, Doctors Without Borders. Man, there's something with that. I mean, maybe they're just everywhere, and maybe they're in every single wartime hospital. But both major hospital strikes, both of them, Doctors Without Borders are within those hospitals. Seems kind of coincidental. I don't know. Doctors Without Borders say that U.S. airstrike hit Afghanistan hospital, killing at least 19. And then, on Friday, a couple days after it was announced that this hospital was being bombed, it was plastered all over the news. U.S. military punishes 16 over the Afghan hospital bombing. Now, I'm not saying that they decided to punish them because of this story coming up. I'm saying releasing the news about it was very, very coincidental. That the hospital got bombed earlier in the week, and they said by Friday they would announce what kind of disciplinary action that these men and women would get from the U.S. military. So, hey, that bombing happened over there. We're punishing people. Don't worry about it. It was very, very well timed. The U.S. military will announce Friday that it has taken disciplinary action against 16 service members over the deadly October 3rd airstrike in Afghanistan that destroyed a hospital run by the charity Doctors Without Borders, or the French, MSF. The non-judicial punishments, the U.S. military investigates into the incident, which broadly concluded that the airstrike was a tragic mistake, a series of blunders that allowed the American forces to target the hospital, even though it was on a no-strike list. Now, I read another report that said that the information wasn't uploaded to the plane prior to this mission that would have identified this hospital as a no-hit zone. I don't buy that. From what I understand and what I've done, all the information that's put onto a plane beforehand are things like IFF, identify a friend or foe, like secure codes that are needed either daily or weekly or monthly or yearly, whatever the case may be. So the fact that this AC-130 didn't have any type of data link with anything else that could have transmitted that information, I highly doubt that. It just seems that I'm not saying it wasn't a mistake. I don't know why anyone in the U.S. military would intentionally target a hospital, but I vaguely remember they were saying at first they thought that militants were in there, regardless of whether there was a hospital or not. We'll never know. But the non-judicial punishment, basically, from what I saw, it looks like they're getting letters of admonishment, letters of reprimand, and maybe some of them even got Article 15s. And Article 15 is a form of non-judicial punishment. It is the Article 15 of the UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice. And basically that is the highest punishment you can get without going to court-martial. And there are 3 different types of court-martials depending on how serious the offense is, but I've gotten 2 Article 15s in 4 years, so just to show you, it is a big deal, but it's not. So more or less, these guys are getting slaps on the wrist. They tried to church it up and say, oh, these guys are going to be, they're not promotable. It depends. If they got Article 15s, you aren't able to test for your next rank, or if you got this paperwork, it could push you down to where it would be impossible to promote. But to say that that's an issue it's not. Even with Article 15, within a year or 2, you can recover and pretty much just continue with your career. So not too much there. Back into politics, John Boehner calls Ted Cruz Lucifer in the flesh and a miserable son of a bitch. I love it. This guy, he was the one that blocked Ron Paul. Well, I mean, it was the RNC, but he was the one that did the vote at the RNC in 2012 to change, Rule 40B, that basically blocked Ron Paul from the nomination. He's the one, also the one that blubbers on TV. But I guess since he's retired, he just doesn't give a shit anymore. So, John Boehner sounded off in a litany of insults for Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz on Wednesday night, labeling the Texas senator as Lucifer in the flesh and a miserable son of a bitch. I love it. I have Democrat friends. I have Republican friends. I get along with everyone, but I have never worked with anyone such a miserable son of a bitch in my life. Boehner, who retired from Congress at the end of October, also let loose on the other two GOP candidates. Yeah, so, and he also said that he thought that Donald Trump wasn't that bad, that they were texting buddies, so, whatever. And he also predicted, however, that if Clinton email scandal escalates, which it won't unless the FBI leaks it, but because the Justice Department came out and said, we're still investigating. This is going to take a while, so don't count on anything happening anytime soon. So unless the FBI comes out either before or after the convention and leaks this information, but after she's got the nomination, this won't matter. But basically, he says that if it does escalate, don't be shocked to see if Joe Biden parachuting in and Barack Obama fanning the flames to make it all happen. So I think that they're waiting to see what the FBI is going to do, and like he said, they'll just airdrop Joe Biden in and save the day or whatever. All right, exclusive. Half of Americans think that the presidential nomination system is rigged. More than half of American voters believe that the U.S. political system parties use to pick their candidates in the White House is rigged. More than 2/3 want to see the process changed, according to Reuters. The United States is one of a handful of countries that gives regular voters any say in who should be the presidential ballot. But state-by-state systems of primaries, caucuses, and conventions make it complex. Now, I don't disagree with the fact that these political parties, that the Founding Fathers did not want political parties, and what they set up didn't really have anything to do with that or had protections against that. But it is undeniable to say that this is what the Founding Fathers wanted. They did not like direct democracy. This is how this system was supposed to work. If you look at the Constitution, if you look at what they wrote, they wanted a representative republic. And this is exactly what a representative republic does. Delegates are elected officials. You elect people that either make decisions or elect other people. That's how that works. Now, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying it's right for our system today. I'm an anarchist, so get rid of it all. But to say that you believe it's rigged when that's how it's supposed to work, and of course the political parties have manipulated that to an extreme degree, but that's kind of how the Founding Fathers wanted it. They knew that the common person really didn't have the information, or not to say the intelligence, but you got to think about it. You were in the field all day, and you didn't get news for maybe months at a time. I mean, mail occasionally somebody would write you, but how are you supposed to make a decision? When in that time and period. So I don't disagree that the system should change. I just think get rid of the whole thing. So they basically go in and say that that rules are arcane and this, that, and the other, and it concludes here. Overall, nearly half said that they would prefer a single primary day in which all states held their nominating contests together, as opposed to a current system of spreading them out for months. Yes, I agree with that. Not all on one day. Maybe do 10 or 15 states a week, and then do it over like a month or two period. Not doing it all in one day. Yeah, I don't know about that, but the fact that this stretches out for months, and you have a couple of states on Super Tuesday, the fourth Super Tuesday, it's ridiculous. But you got to keep it interesting. And our last story for tonight: North Carolina may ban hecklers on college campuses. Hecklers who have shut down speakers in North Carolina's college campuses could face punishment under a proposal being floated by lawmakers. Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest is proposing the state's 17 public university systems create a policy that includes punishments for those who interrupt free speech expression of others. Freedom of speech has become a contentious on campus nationwide. Some students have complained that the free expression that they say is stoking racial tensions and glossing over sexual misconduct. Others amount it to suppressing speech. This has been going on at an increasing rate in this country. You cannot shout down somebody and not allow them to talk. Like Milo Yiannopoulos from Breitbart. Him and his tour are going around these college campuses, and Tigglypuff. You can see that I tweeted that out on my Twitter at Slav Libertarian. She was what it was later found out she's an ANCOM, an anarchist communist, and also an advocate for anti-body shaming because she's enormous. Basically, you have a right to protest, obviously, but you can't disrupt somebody else from talking and from other people hearing what they have to say. Your rights end where another rights begin. If you want to stand outside of Donald Trump or any of those places and protest them, that's your right. But you can't get up on stage and grab the mic and yell and scream to where nobody can hear him. If you're that scared of what he has to say, then I don't know what to tell you. Words are scary, I guess. Protesting against speakers is nothing new in the United States campuses. University of California, Berkeley students failed to persuade the administration to disinvite the king of liberals, liberal comedian Bill Maher, in 2004 commencement speech because he complained about Islam. Now, I mean, it's gotten to a point to where the liberal gods of the past aren't even good enough for these people. The left is dangerous. Like I said earlier, I'd rather know my enemy, but the left, they say they want to help. They say they just want equality, but at the end of the day, if you don't agree with everything they say, they will beat you up, and if needed, kill you. The communist regimes killed hundreds of millions of people. No question. No question. So I salute Milo and all of those people like that are getting out there in the trenches, in these people's faces, and saying, look, you cannot suppress me. Period. And I'm not dealing with your bullshit, and I'm not buying it. And that's why I use offensive language and statements on my Twitter on occasion, because I wouldn't have to do that if everything wasn't being offensive now. So the bar's been pushed so far to the left, you have to have people that go all the way the other way to equal that back out. It just has to happen. So that was the first episode of Below the Tension. I hope you enjoyed it. Please comment below on any suggestions. Maybe the audio was fuzzy or, anything like that. So I will continue to work on my oratory skills as this goes on. But if you like it, please share. And you can follow me at Twitter, at Slav Libertarian, or on Instagram. It's not so political, but it's veganism_lifting_politics. So appreciate this. Please share, like, comment, and you guys have a nice night.